Hi folks, so the full moon in Capricorn is actually a very simple and elegant full moon insofar as it trines the south node in Virgo. So you've got the sun in Cancer, you've got the full moon in Capricorn. The sun, as we covered in our weekly overview, sort of next 6 months overview 2 days ago, is moving towards trining the north node in Pisces. And so when this full moon occurs and the sun and the moon are opposite each other, the full moon is going to trine the south node in Virgo. So we have a full moon trining the south node in Virgo. This is the third of 3 videos I'm doing back to back, and they all kind of feed into each other. They contribute to each other. So if and when you have the time, if this is the first of the videos of mine that you're seeing, then you can supplement them by seeing yesterday's video, which covers some of the important aspects that I encoded into this full moon on Thursday. But I'm going to talk about those as well again today, and sort of the weekly overview, plus some important sort of macro observations as we head into the next 6 months of 2025. The 3 aspects that are encoded into this full moon are Saturn conjuncting Neptune, the sun trining the north node, of course, which we covered, and Uranus trining Pluto. And Uranus and Pluto, the trines are not exact, and for a lot of astrologers, not really operational. Excuse me, sorry about the coughing. Operational until we head into 2026 and 27. But really, at this point in time, as we, it's 3 degrees apart from each other, roughly 2.5 degrees apart from each other. So you can't just ignore it. And Saturn conjuncting Neptune and Uranus trining Pluto, I covered in my weekly overview. So I want to be a little conscious that I'm not overly repeating information. I'm getting you the information that I need to. Let's come back to this particular full moon. Actually, let's do our homework. My business homework first quickly, because I've been leaving it to the end of the video. 3 ways to engage with me: the free content I post on this site, the membership only videos that I do behind the $6.99 a month membership firewall. Those are sign specific videos currently. And indeed, if you're curious about that south node in Virgo connection, in March of this year, I did videos related to the full moon lunar eclipses in Virgo, that lunar eclipse in Virgo that occurred in the middle of March. And that video contains information about what we're trying to release in the Virgo part of the chart. So for those of you who are members, or those of you who want to check out that video, because you can become a member for a certain period of time too, and then stop becoming a member. It's up to you. There are going to be over the next 3 or 4 days sign-specific videos posted related to this full moon, but there are also sign-specific videos that are related to the south node eclipses in Virgo, or the south node transiting Virgo, and those you'll find I put those up in March of this year, prior to that eclipse in the middle of the month. The coughing is really annoying, and I'm so sorry about that. I really am doing fine when I'm not talking. And a third way to connect with me would be to do a personal reading, and the link to memberships and the email address where you can contact me for personal readings are in the description box below. Okay, moving along. Let's talk about this full moon trining the south node. Let's cover a couple of things about the full moon. If things have not already become a little bit over the top, they will continue to be so for at least through Thursday, if not Friday. They can be over the top emotionally. They can be over the top. The moon is not a rational planet. Our emotional life, our intuitive life. Things could be heading towards a certain type of completion, a conclusion. There could be drama brewing. There could be emotional truths, intuitive truths that are bubbling up. Unless you're in Aquarius rising, for most other signs, rising signs, it could also indicate an increase in activity to the point where everything, how am I going to get this done? Oh, I need to manage this. I need to manage this. I need to say no here. I need to say yes here. Will I be able to get through this? Will I be able to do this? Blah, blah, blah. That kind of thing. So as I've said to you numerous times, it's a week after a full moon where the energies become balanced and the productivity is just starts to swim along. But as you're heading towards the full moon, it can just become a little bit, pot of milk coming to a boil. There can be completions, there can be conclusions, there can be contracts, there can be visibility. And the reason why I said Aquarius rising is the Capricorn full moon is going to be in your 12th house. And sometimes having a full moon in your 12th house can mean a pocket of rest, a pocket of, sometimes it can be forced rest, sickness. It's like, listen, the sun is going over my 12th house right now. And every time, last year around the same time, last year I got COVID. This year I don't know whether it's COVID or cough or whatever it is. So, or at least it's on its way out. It's around forced rest, something that demands that you take time out or time off. So anyway, I'll cover that in the rising sign specific videos. And also, this is as good a time as any to say that the videos in the membership part of the channel, they're sign specific. They're meant to be for your rising sign, but you can also look at them for your sun and moon. So we anticipate, as we head towards Thursday and Friday, it's like a wind-up toy that is going to just accelerate. And as I've said, importantly, if you're on the receiving end of a tantrum, if you're the one who's throwing the tantrum, and if there's a certain amount of truth towards it, err towards assertiveness, but not aggressiveness. And if you're on the receiving end of it, try to manage it effectively so that you can at least pay attention to the truths that are coming up to the surface. And even if you're not on the receiving end of it, but you're on the expressing end of it, sometimes we don't even express it to the person, but we reach a point of culmination and completion about something. Now, my darlings, for some people, this full moon is also trining Mars. So Mars is in Virgo. Mars is at about 13.5 degrees of Virgo. And the South Node is at about 21.5 degrees of Virgo. This full moon is at 18 degrees of Virgo. So as the moon is getting full, it certainly will trine Mars in Virgo. And it really is a full moon trining the South Node. The South Node, wherever it is transiting, wherever the South Node eclipses are occurring in the sign of Virgo, in the house occupied by Virgo, the first of these eclipses occurred in March of this year. So the middle of January, the week before, week after, January 13th, March 13th, the week before, week after. And we have another one of these eclipses, a solar eclipse, a new moon solar eclipse in Virgo, September 21st or thereabouts of this year. And that will be sort of a contained 6-month window where we're going to be, till February 2027, we are releasing something that is outmoded, outdated, done in the house occupied by Virgo. And we're leaning into developing something, pursuing something in the house occupied by Pisces. As we head to this full moon, the sun from Cancer, the house occupied by Cancer, supports this North Node development in the Pisces part of the chart. And the full moon and this escalation supports what needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart. And it's this connection that is more intriguing to me, because when we have to release something, the other thing that has to be said is that, yes, this is a full moon, and full moons happen every 28 days, and the full moon will come and go. And the wave will crash to the shore, and the wave is going to then start to pull back after the full moon occurs. And we're used to this energy. We've survived it tons of times. But the week before and after July the 7th, which we currently are in, all the way to about July the 14th, is 2 months before the lunar eclipse in Pisces, where we're meant to lean into. Last year, when we had the full moon in Capricorn, I remember saying to you, because it was the same thing, it was around 2 months before the lunar eclipse in Pisces last year, I remember saying to you, it feels more like a full moon in Pisces than a full moon in Capricorn. Now, this year, because Saturn and Neptune are not in Pisces, I think it feels more like a full moon in Capricorn. And you may get strong signals, ahas, and awareness. I really want you to think about, for members, you have that Eclipse in Virgo video that I did in March that you can refer back to for your rising sign, or your sun and moon sign, but especially for your rising sign. For the rest of you, if you know where the sign of Virgo is in your chart, what house is occupied by it, I want you to think about week before and after January 13th, week before and after March the 13th. Now we're dealing with this particular full moon. Now, certainly between September 21st of this year and February, March of next year, it's going to be the releasing in the Virgo part of the chart that's going to become more of a priority. But then we're also going to see that same energy escalate as we head towards February of 27. So when you have repeated eclipses, it's, you know, it's a process of releasing something. It doesn't happen. You don't just, let me remind you, because this narrative seemed to resonate with so many people. When we had the North Node eclipses in Aries and the South Node in Libra for March 2023, I drew this arc for you where we were trying to move in a certain direction related to the Aries part of the chart from March 23 to August, September of 23. And then when the Libra eclipses took hold, it's as if the universe said, no, you've also got to release what you need to release in Libra from September, October of 23 to March of 24. Then as the Aries eclipses took over again, there was an expansiveness, April, May, June, July, and then once again, the Libra eclipse, the South Node eclipse came up in September, October of last year, 24, till at least the end of last year, where it was like, no, 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 you've still got to release this. And then, you know, sort of the leaning into the Aries eclipse that really we've been under the shadow of that Aries eclipse on March 29th, certainly till the end of the first week of June of this year. But because there was also a Mercury cycle in Aries that continues till the end of the July, that Aries part of the chart is very resonant, and with Saturn and Neptune in Aries together, encouraging reflection and discernment. Remember the video I posted yesterday on the Saturn-Neptune conjunction on July the 16th. Meditating on how to take yourself seriously and value yourself in the Aries part of the chart. That forward-looking Aries energy has been brewing and continues to brew. Now that the eclipses in the Pisces Libra axis are showing greater resonance and greater presence, and you have a full moon in Capricorn, what is it that escalates in the Capricorn part of the chart that puts you in mind of, I've got to release, I've got to stay focused on whatever it is that thematically needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart. You may be very conscious of, and this may actually build on the 4th of July holiday, at least for those of us who are in the States, where after a few days of holiday and reflection, we may actually be in a place where we're thinking about, I can tell you, the full moon is in my 6th house, right? For example. And I have been it has been a helpful timeout for me to say, go back and touch base with yourself with regard to what the original intention was for the membership part of the chart, so that both for yourself and your members, you are not just going to be a one-trick pony doing new moon videos and full moon videos and new moon videos and full moon videos. These adjustments need to be made. So it's what is the most effective value that I can create in the membership part of the channel. And so how do I start to adjust things? The full moon is happening in the 6th house of job, employment, hustles, how I monetize my hustles. So, and it could be related to whatever I need to relate for release in my 2nd house with other ways in which I'm generating income. So, it's over the next few days, something could bubble out. There could be aha moments, there could be completions. With a full moon that's trining the South Node, for some of you, there could be something that reaches another, it's like all the way to February 27. We're going to have these you know how there's a heart monitor and it has these peaks. It's like week before and after January 13th was a peak, and a week before and after March 13th was a peak. And this full moon is a smaller peak, but it's there. And then by the time we get to September 21st, week before after, and November 21st, week before after, and then, you know, as we relate to the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo in early 2026, yeah, I'm not crazy. We'll, you know, it's a process of leaning into the Pisces part of the chart and releasing something in the Virgo part of the chart. And it will feel like a full moon in Capricorn, without a doubt. But it may also feel a little bit like there's a sister full moon occurring in the Virgo part of the chart. And while it's a full moon and not an eclipse, it is 2 months before the eclipse. So there could, for some people, 2 months before the eclipse is when you feel the eclipse. There is something tectonic going on the week before and after July the 7th. There is something pushing us forward and making us think about what we need to continue to release. And we understand that we're on this carousel and we can't just jump off. For some people, one of these milestones is going to be what hits and that eclipse event occurs that turns the page. For other people, it's going to be a constant process through February 27 of leaning towards the Pisces part of the chart and releasing something with these milestones that are occurring. I have already talked about Saturn conjunct Neptune yesterday. There's a whole video around it. I talked about Uranus trining Pluto in the video from 2 days ago. Uranus, the planet that connects us to our authenticity and the manifestation of that authenticity in the material realm, whether through people or opportunities or choices, in the house that it is transiting, is now very temporarily this year in the house occupied by the sign of Gemini in your chart. And from there, he is getting ready to, in 26 and 27, support Pluto in Aquarius, loosen what Pluto is trying to loosen right now in the Aquarius part of the chart, so Pluto can transform the Aquarius part of the chart, the house occupied by Aquarius in your chart, to your benefit, all the way to 2042. It's lovely to have Uranus trining Pluto. And again, it has this tectonic. I would just, if you know your chart, and you know the house occupied by Gemini in your chart, just pay attention to what is shifting there. How are people, situations, shifting in such a way that they might be reflecting who you are authentically? And what might that open up for you when it comes to what Pluto's trying to transform in the Aquarius part of the chart? It's very early. It's similar to what I said. There's something about this particular full. Something could occur within the next 72 hours for some of you, some of us, that really feels like a page is turning. There was an escalation of something, and it supports what I need to release in the Virgo part of the chart. And in the middle of all this busyness and intensity and this full moon energy, something happened, and it is pushing me forward. For everyone, I would hazard to say, for the first 2 weeks of July, there's a tectonic shift occurring. A lot of the energy right now is one of, I'll go back to the word I used yesterday, discernment. As the plates shift around and we can feel spirit try to say, this is what is for you, this is what is not for you, moving forward. These are the energies that are for you, these are the energies that are not for you. These are the energies that, and it's really about the energies. It feels like the right type of energy for us, and not, because once we lean into the energy that is for us or release for the energy that is not for us, it then has material consequences. It makes room for the right type of people to enter our lives, and the people who may not be right for us to leave our lives. Similarly, situations, it opens up those channels. And something about that is, I think, very resonant for the first 2 weeks of July. And I think we're all, whether we're going to be impacted by this dramatically and directly, or whether we're going to I think whether there's something dramatic that occurs or not, all of us are likely going to be in a place where we feel like I'm going to respond as authentically I can to what is happening around me. Where I feel I need to take a leap of faith, I will. But where things are murky and confusing, I may choose to hold back a little, because I'm going to be in this space of observation and discernment. When we have time periods that are eclipsy, as I like to say, Spirit takes the wheel, or God takes the wheel. And when someone else takes the wheel, the best that we can do is be really present to, and if we assume that what is taking the wheel is fundamentally a benevolent presence, then it becomes important to just kind of observe what they're doing to the vehicle. And irrespective of just how maniacal the next 72 hours might become, and how this or how that, or etc., just pay attention to the shifts, because, and again, as I said yesterday, there's something about this full moon occurring, and then a few days after the full moon, we go into the Mercury retrograde energy, and we're not out of the Mercury retrograde energy till at least the middle of August. And then Saturn is back in Pisces September 1st. Before we know it, we're going to be making the most out of, it's like we've been juicing a fresh pack of oranges since April, May, and that juicing is going to be done by the middle of August, and we'll take stock of where we're at. And then we start to contend with moving forward, but also closing out and stabilizing that Pisces part of the chart from as we head towards September 1st onwards. This is the best I've done micro, I've done macro. There's no point even thinking about, honestly, the ruler of this chart, because it's a Capricorn full moon, is Saturn, and Saturn is conjuncting Neptune in Aries, and did a video on that yesterday. And I don't even want to consider dispositorships, because Saturn is in Aries, and Mars, the ruler of Aries, is in Virgo, and Mercury, the ruler of Virgo, is in Leo, and Leo is ruled by the Sun, which is in Cancer, and Cancer is ruled by the Moon, which is in Capricorn, and we're back to between the Moon, Saturn, Mars, Mercury, the Sun, Moon. It's just like, how many dispositors do we, but all these planets in some ways have been covered by the videos over the past 3 days. So a full moon, an escalation, an intensification. An intensification that could be focused very much on strong messages or even events occurring that contribute to releasing something in the Virgo part of the chart. And it is a trine, not a square. So when the sun is going over a certain part of the chart, the new moon has occurred in that part of the chart. We're in the month of Cancer. The new moon occurred about 2 weeks ago. While we are so focused on a solar level as to where the sun is, when the full moon occurs in the opposite part of the chart, it's like an escalation and intensification of energy, saying it's fine that you're having this solar review moment and this new moon, and you're bringing the Cancer part of the chart into alignment, but while you're doing it, by the way, here's this opposing principle that also needs to be considered. That's why I gave you that Aquarius rising example. If you're an Aquarius rising, the sign of Cancer is in your 6th house. And it could be a really busy month for you. But then this full moon occurs in the Capricorn part of the chart that says, can we balance this busyness with a certain amount of rest? And so the opposing principle asserts itself. But this time around, it's asserting itself in such a way that it is supporting what needs to be released in the Virgo part of the chart. It's fascinating. So whatever's coming up here seems to be clearing the way, however dramatic it might be, cleansing. There's something cleansing about this full moon. But we may be ready to capitalize on it and take the action, or we may not be. It may be part of a process. There's billions of us on this planet. It's, So how it expresses itself, how directly and dramatically, is an open question, but it's for each of us to consider. And I hope that this video gives you something to consider. What is reaching some sort of an escalation? I'm not going to say crisis, it's not an eclipse. An escalation or a peak in the Capricorn part of your chart, the house occupied by Capricorn. And how does it either directly lead you to release something that you've thematically been in the process of releasing since the week before and after January 13th of this year? How does it contribute to that? How, based on everything that's occurring, are you becoming cognizant of the shifts that need to occur to make you more effective, to move you in the right directions or direction? Feel free to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. When you subscribe, there's a bell icon, and when you click the wiggly bell option on top, you'll be notified when I do new videos. You can contribute to this channel by donating to it using the thanks button underneath this video. There's information on donations in the description box below. You can contribute to this channel for free by liking this video or leaving a comment. Likes and comments, I was just reminding myself about how I'm going to title this video. Likes and comments, I think, help increase visibility of the video on YouTube. So thank you for that in advance. And feel free to spread the word about this content if you think it's going to be useful to someone else. And supplement this video, if you have the time, with the last two videos that I did. I think they all kind of go together. Members, take a look at the Virgo full moon lunar eclipse video I did in March, and over the next 3 or 4 days, full moon videos regarding this full moon will start to roll out in the membership part of the chart. Thank you. Take care.